Okay, part 2. I left off right about here. So I went here and here. I got a new clean copy. So, and now I've got to FOIL this out. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times negative 2i is negative 2i. Now inside, positive 2i. And then here comes the tricky part. 2i times negative 2i is negative 4i squared. These two cancel. So I have 1 minus 4 times I squared is negative 1. So it's really negative 4 times negative 1, which is just 4. So it's really 1 plus 4, which is 5. Now notice 5 can go into 10, 5 can go into 20. So that'll reduce to 2 minus 4i. And there's your answer in simplest form. All right, now this question may upset some of you, but it says, gotta use completing the square. So I'm going to be looking for your work. So we're going to take that constant, bump it over, create some spaces on the same side, because this equals 0. We don't want to mess with that yet. Take half of this, negative 5. Squared is 25, but if we put a 25 there, we got to balance it by putting a negative 25 there. This is my perfect square trinomial, so I'm going to factor that. I'm going to show my work here. I don't know if I'm going to have space, but 0 equals x minus 5 squared. Where's the minus come from? Right here. And 30 minus 25 is 5. Now, what good is this doing me? Well, I got to subtract 5 from both sides. I'm going to spin this thing around. And now I'm ready for the infamous bada boom, bada bang, do the right thing. So I would be getting x minus 5 equals, I'm going to take the I out, plus or minus I square root of 5. And I'm going to add 5 to this side, add 5 to that side. I have space up here for my final answer. So I get x is 5 plus or minus I square root of 5. There we go. Number 11 forces us to use quadratic formula. I just give it to you. So this is my A, this is my B, this is my C. If they scramble this up a little bit and they have the 3x over here is like a negative 3x, and you add 3x, get it all set equal to 0, descending order, then you can identify A, B, and C, but this one's all set for you. So this says opposite of B, so B is 3, so negative 3 plus or minus square root of B squared, which is 9, minus 4 times A times C all over 2A, which is 2. So I get negative 3 plus or minus 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. So 9 minus 16 is negative 7 over 2. Looks like I'm done. A little bit of work to do right here. Negative 3 plus or minus I square root of 7 all over 2. You're going to get some weird answers. Okay. Number 12. Let me get myself some space here. All right, number 12, if we read it, a toy cannonball is launched from a cannon on top of a platform. The equation h of t, which is height, equals this quadratic thing. That's the equation of the path of the cannonball. Gives the height h in meters of the ball t seconds after its launch. That's a lot of information. That's bottom line, this is the equation of the ball. Does the ball reach the height of 12? See, this is a different question. This is where we focused on, are there 2 answers? Is there 1 answer? Or are there just no answers? So they're telling you, let this be 12 and see if it works. So this one's not nearly as bad as the other ones. So if we calculate this and we find there are no answers possible, we'd say no. If there's even an answer possible, we'd say, yep, that's possible. So we're going to treat this just like any other trinomial. So we would get 0 is negative 5t squared plus 20t minus 8. I can't divide by anything where it's going to work out real nice, so I'm just going to let that be A, B, and C. And I'm going to go ahead and use that formula I gave you up here. So negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, I'll show my work because the numbers are weird, minus 4, that's minus, times a times c all over 2a, which would be negative 10. Now, if we look at this and we say, okay, is there even going to be a possible answer? We're going to be able to answer that from our discriminant right here. So we're going to pull that aside and see what happens in there. So that'd be 400, and that's 20. Negative 4 times negative 5 is 20. 20 times negative 8 is negative 160, which would give us the square root of 240. Now you could go ahead and take the square root of 240, figure out its answer, and then go negative 20 plus or minus whatever that answer is from here, which, you know, the square root of 225 is about 15, so that's going to be over 15. The point is, because this is a real number, all they want to know is, does it reach a height of 12? And the answer is yes, because your discriminant is actually not an imaginary number, so it works. So the answer is yes. Kind of a weird question, but there you go. There's a benefit of knowing the discriminant and how to use it. Okay, number 13. What values of b will cause this trinomial to have one real solution? How about no real solution? Well, let's just pick off one of these at a time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our discriminant portion of the quadratic formula, b squared minus 4ac, and make sense of it. So what we're going to say is this is our a, our b is b, c is 25. So b squared and minus 4 times a times c, there is what's underneath my square root. So it's saying, how could you have this be equal to one real solution? Well, that happens when this underneath my square root equals 0. And this is 25 times 4 is 100. 100 times 4 is 400. So it's b squared minus 400 equals 0. If we add 400 to both sides, I'm going to get b squared equals 400. Here it comes. Bada boom, bada bing, do the right thing. So I get plus or minus 20 for that first question. Now, how about no real solutions? Well, remember, that's where we're going to say no real solutions. That's where b squared minus 400 has to be less than 0. Now here comes a common sense special. If we just let our brains kind of think about this, here's a 0. If I put a 0 in for b, 0 squared minus 400 is less than 0. That's definitely part of my solution set. Remember, 20 squared is 400. So 20, if I go out to 20 right here, and I actually plug in 20, that'd be 400 minus 400. That's not less than 0, it equals 0, so that's going to be an open circle. But anything this way, if I plug it in, like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and I plug it in here, that is going to result in something negative. But that's only half the story. If I go down all the way to negative 20, and I'm kind of using the answer from this, and negative 20 squared would be 400 minus 400, which equals 0. It's like, that's why it's open circle, but everything in here. So really my answer, b, can be anything greater than negative 20, less than 20. So I could write it like this, negative 20, positive 20. Okay, that one's a little tricky. You got to really use your understanding of this expression and how to apply it. All right, last two. Determine not the solutions, the number of solutions. So keep that in mind. Well, here we have a parabola, and if we graph it, I'm going to use this space provided for me right here. It's a parabola where it's moved up 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And because this is a positive 1, I know it's going to look something like this. And then this, y equals x plus 15. My y-intercept is 15, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And if I use the slope, up 1, right 1, and I drew it in here, you could see if this continued and that continued, my drawing's not perfect, but I would have 2 solutions. Final question, why is D a silly answer for number 14? There's just no way you can have a parabola and a line, touch each other 3 times. It's just not possible. That's it, you guys. Hopefully that's going to prepare you for your test. All right, good luck.